Talk to Kevin. That's the first quest of part 2, is talk to Kevin. It's quite the daunting task. Let's go. Oh. Oh. Friend or foe? Choose. It's Kevin. He says it. For the past hundreds of thousands of years, humans had been slaughtering each other for each and every reason. Some said it was their nature, some said it was proof that they were still in their childhood. Regardless, when he met the last of his kind not too long ago, he still chose combat as his means of communication. Oh, Herrscher of Sentience. Let's make this clear, Kevin. I surrender. But without you, she couldn't possibly have trapped me temporarily like this. Temporarily trapped? No, Kevin, you're fucked. You're not getting out of this one, Kevin. Maybe. Do you think we spoil her too much? If I steeled myself and took away the control of the body, she wouldn't have collapsed in this hole. That sounds a bit ironic. Oh. Oh. Very nice. Isn't the most ironic person this dummy named Fu Hua? Always so earnest, always wanting to treat everyone seriously. And in the end, other than another dummy named Kiana, have we ever done anything good for her? Old timer, if you only had done as I said before, you wouldn't have to suffer this torment every day. Oh, you've changed. You know, it's quite frankly, she has. From their first encounter, which was what, when she attacked him for just for fighting reasons. She's changed, definitely. Have I? Maybe a little. Think about it. When we first met, I genuinely thought that I had a fair chance against you. But thankfully, you wasted no time with words. If it were me, I would have mocked such an arrogant fool to no end. You were no fool, otherwise we would not be having this conversation. I'm the Herrscher of Sentience after all. I can read the atmosphere and see that it's only out of respect that you didn't leave immediately. Even so, she has already won a few hours for her friends, given the physical properties of the black hole. Oh. So they spent but a fraction of time in here, and it's been like a few hours out in the real world. Interesting. Just like how you faced finality in the past. That's fundamentally different, but you can compare it that way. They have much to do if they want to surpass the finality like Project Stigma. What do you mean? Are you anticipating your own failure? Project Stigma is the worst project, and I also fully believe in this statement. Kevin finally accepts reality. In the end, you're just like Oldtimer. No offense, just expressing my thoughts. After all, I've long lost my interest in saving the world. No, Herrscher of Sentience, you're also one of the kindlings. It's fine if you can't understand. Think of it as the last influence on reality from 50,000 years ago. The discordant Honkai consciousness disappeared. The person who was born a Herrscher. Right now, what can you feel from the cocoon? What are you talking about here, Kevin? What cocoon are you mentioning? I see, it looks like Hare's concerns were not baseless. What exactly do you mean by that? I am measuring your distance from origin, from finality's angle. Seems like you really stole the power of finality. Accurately speaking, Project Stigma hijacked finality. I'm only a part of it. And there's a difference to that? Of course, in the past, chimerism led me to bear the center of stigma. And by the same principle, it also determined that I was unable to become the key of finality. Herrscher of Sentience, you possess Hua's memories. You should know whether it's Su, Hua, or me, all of us are but a piece of a puzzle to complete the final project. Even though Su went against you under Mei's suggestion. Back then, we all had lost our much-needed composure. But you're right, even so, we long for this false samsara to come to a complete stop in this era. After all, the stars cannot be rearranged in one stroke. The stars, you say? The stars, you say, can't be rearranged. Interesting. It was rumored that many years ago, a dying awakened once left a message for Schicksal Overseer, telling him to look for the only key needed to overcome Honkai. According to his calculations, he could shape Bianca Durandal Atagina into that key after 32,874 unspeakable nodes. In other words, in terms of probability, this was nigh impossible. But that awakening also said, in the end, Project Veluca finally found the only answer. This was not a baseless vision. It was not to glorify defeats either. Compared to Otto and Durandal, compared to the others who peripherally knew about this matter, the other being beyond imagination will perhaps better understand the deeper meaning behind those words. So, Durandal is the key. Oh. Oh, we haven't seen this in a while. That was Bronya's voice there slightly. The newly born youth lay in the fissure. He struggled to get up, then realized the river Spree was on his left. He was in Berlin. He looked across the river to the south, where Brandenburg Gate was. The thick smoke produced by fire billowed back and forth like mud soaked in blood. The streets were filled with rubble, buildings and vehicles breathed in and out smoke sporadically like moribund people. That's a word. It was high noon. It's high noon. Bro, it was high noon under dark clouds. Death was descending on Berlin. Yes, Bronya and one of the Welts. Welt something. Welt. That's all I know. Where are we? Oh, we're across the thing. Oh, nice. This device looks like... it can't be operated at all. In fact, it's just for show. Are we sure about this? Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Why? Okay. Why are we now this version of Bronya? What's happening with the version of Bronya we're playing as? What's happening here? We're playing as, like, the weirdest versions of Bronya in this quest. Where's Herstra of Reason? Oh! That figure is Joyce. That's the one. He's the original one. The one that, like, yeah, the original one. That's all I know. He was the predecessor of Welt Yang, and then Welt Yang is the one that we know. Yes, it's all coming back to me. I just need a small refreshment. Okay. The memory beam. Okay, Bronya walks up to the memory beam. Somehow this place feels dangerous, but we don't have any other clues. Need to investigate. Ooh. Fire! A word of merely 4 letters symbolizes the greatest good and the greatest evil. And in March 2011, the girl was caught in a fire. Oh, coughing. Bronya, grab me! We should be safe here. Are you okay? Alexievna? Alexievna. Bronya's okay, Uncle Maxim. Okay. Oh, we're like, following Bronya, like, in the past? I guess it was a memory fragment, right? Or memory node or something? You better call me boss from now on. People in our line of work never know when they have to find a new master. And your new master won't appreciate being called Uncle. Understood, boss? Boss Uncle Maxim. Well, that's the daughter of Alexei and Alexandra. Just as inflexible. Don't take this too hard. The place we've called home for years is a goner. Let's remember the last moment of this place. This is before Bronya went to the orphanage, when she was still a mercenary. Bronya Onei-chan? Okay, Kiana came out of nowhere. Thank goodness you're right. I thought I saw you being dragged out of a fire. I hope that was an illusion. Well, when did you change into this outfit? Wait, they actually addressed the outfit change? Bronya isn't sure, but the fire you saw probably isn't an illusion. It's Bronya's memory. That was back in 2011. Bronya told Kiana what she had just experienced. Oh. So we're just reliving memories. And that's what happened. Maybe Joyce's will helped us and allowed Bronya to find Kiana when she was trapped in memories. But listening to your recount, be it this incident or our current situation, there's still plenty of suspicion, don't you think? Well, of course. Why does this place look like the moon 50,000 years ago? Why did Bronya turn into a sniper, into the sniper she was? And why did Bronya see Welt Joyce's figure? Why could Bronya release Kiana from her dreams? What role does that hair play? All valid questions. Anyway, we have too many questions that can't be answered, and Bronya hasn't regained her power as the Hersher of Reason. Kiana, are you alright? My Hersher core is stable and there's nothing wrong with my energy flow, but speaking of hair, Kiana paused for 2 seconds. She thought about how she could describe her. I don't know why, but she comes off as chilling. Not like Otto or Kevin, but domineering like the Hersher of the Void. That's Bro, I called her creepy. I think the hair is a creepy character. I don't know why. There's just something fucking creepy about her. But yeah, this is also another good description of her. Domineering like the Hersher of Void. Kind of just a cringe lord. Hersher of the Void. They seem very different. How do I put it? It's nothing to do with her personality or way of speaking, but more about the threat her way of existence creates. It's hard to explain it this way too. And let's start with the easier part. Okay. But she just has a bit of a fucking crangled character, I'll be honest. I'm assuming we'll unlock this place at the very end of the quest. Oh! Combat? Oh. We just enter Mortal Kombat, I guess. Enter Mortal Kombat with my own team. Come on, man. Come on, man. 2. Bam. Damn, I'm smoking these fools, though. Oh, we don't have Mark 2. No, Mark! It does make sense for Mark 2 to not be here. But I'm kind of sad. Mark 2 is an integral part of my team. And I want him back right this instant. Okay. But thank God I'm actually allowed to use Hersher for me ego, because I don't think I could use Aponia, and I don't want to use the trial characters. Okay. Another memory beam. So this is... Yes, I investigated a similar looking memory fragment or spatial structure. Then Kiana appeared. Does that mean this time Mei-san? Watch out, Kiana! Oh, thunder cracks like Raiden Mei's cheeks. Oh, Raiden Mei-san. Oh, sorry, it's Mei-senpai. Did I hurt you? Of course not, but you're amazing. You don't need Bronya's help to break free from this weird restraint. It might be because those illusions weakened. But you said Bronya. That explains. It's the memory of Hersher of Reason. What did you see, Mei? I saw someone, a dark-haired boy, being questioned by people in lab coats. What's your name? Where did you live? Which country are you from, they asked. But that boy only answered them with, who am I? If he has something to do with that memory, if he looked like what the people at Anti-Entropy described, then I suppose he is well to Joyce, the first Hersher of Reason. We also came here after his flickering figure. Despite this, we mustn't forget we were put into this predicament again by Hair, or rather Project Stigma. Which is to say, everything we've been exposed to so far could have been planned by Hair. I don't know, but this time we must find her flaw and a countermeasure against her abilities, or she'll always have the upper hand. We don't even know what the fuck her abilities are at this point, for fuck's sake. You're saying, let's find a countermeasure? What are they? Yeah, if we think ahead, seizing the initiative from Kevin would be just as difficult. Yes, to fight the power of finality and exceed Project Stigma, we at least need to establish stable connections with the scientists of Anti-Entropy and Schixel. About that, actually, I've got a feeling that Welt had already made plans, but didn't divulge them for reasons. Already? About 1 or 2 years ago, at least. Isn't that when we were still at Saint Freya? Kiana. Mei Bronya, do you still remember the ghost battleship that Miss Himiko led us to capture? Do I remember this? The ghost battleship that Miss Himiko led us to capture. Nah. Is this one of the Chronicles, maybe? I can't fucking remember, no. Of course, I tried to crack its master control, but found it didn't have any passwords or restrictions. Maybe it was like chapter 1. Miss Himiko was worried that it was a trap. Although my biochip did get jammed afterward, what happened in New Zealand proved it wasn't directly related to the strange mind. Oh, it's chapters 1 and 2 essentially. Oh, I see. Because the New Zealand part is Wendy then. And it's 1, 2, and 3 or something like that. In that case, the chain of events that followed was related to Cocolia, but that ghost battleship remained a mystery to us. Cocolia, name we haven't heard in eons. I found a strange mail in the master control. Dear Kiana, greetings. We hereby return you the battleship Selene after 14 years. You shall ascend the throne and rule this world, but before that, you will need to find 4 keys. Lightning of conquest, fire of affliction, storm of desire, and death of tranquility. P.S. The password to the bridge is your birthday. Ooh, we thought its sender wasn't malicious, just pretentious. I even said everything would become clear after the flying battleship to St. Freya. But in reality, new problems arose incessantly, so we still haven't figured that battleship out. To be precise, Selene's engine that's been transferred to Hyperion is the work of Dr. Einstein and Dr. Tesla. However, they refuse to elaborate on the source of that mail. I think that might have something to do with Anti-Entropy's original plan. The original plan? That mail should have been written by Dr. Tesla. This is pretty obvious if you eliminate those involved. Now it seems that Anti-Entropy was trying to help me seize all of Siren's Hersha powers by drawing support from Selene. But after defeating Hersha of Dominance, nobody at Anti-Entropy brought it up again. Isn't that because we're over it? You're right, but that's what's bothering me is why do they want me to harness the powers represented by those gems? The doctors aren't Otto. They won't make a plan like this just because they covet the power Siren had. If you look at it that way, things do become suspicious, but Kiana, do you actually think the crux of this matter isn't Siren, but finality? Uh-huh. I don't know what the crux means. Oh, it's kind of like, I don't know. Okay. This is just a guess, but I feel it can explain some strange things. Strange? When I was with the doctors, I occasionally felt guilt from them. I initially thought this was due to my physical health. But until this day, that faint emotion hasn't left them. Why don't you ask them? I tried asking Dr. Tesla on the night I left for Colliston. She admitted writing that letter, but said there's a huge room for improvement for Anti-Entropy's plan before we come face to face with the Hersha of Finality. Dr. Tesla, why did she leave you hanging? She said, Kiana, you wouldn't want your teacher to read your unrevised essay in class, would you? It's the same thing. Well, on the bright side, this indicates Project Sigma isn't the only solution for our world. What, is it funny for me to say that? No, I just thought, Kiana, you are an idiot. You already did that with May, yet you're freaking out about this? Oh yeah, they held hands. Of course they did, and that's, yeah. Bronya's unforgiving. Okay, we can think about this after breaking free from Hair's control. We can't do anything about Kevin under this condition. Could this be why the first Hersha reason appeared before us? Bronya doesn't know. It might be more complicated. Anyhow, this is our only clue at present. Let's move forward cautiously. I see. Wow, so like Tesla and well, I guess just Tesla. I'm not sure about Einstein. But Tesla's been in, like, the thinkings of the Hersha of Finality since Colliston. Very nice. Very, very... There's no way to know that. That's kind of... They just kind of created that. I was going to try to maybe say that they had a bit of foreshadowing at back in the chapter, but I don't think they did. At least I don't recall that they had any foreshadowing that was obvious. But that's cool. Dr. Tesla might become a prominent character soon. Or still kind of is a prominent character. Oh, enemies. Bogies on the radar. Where are they? No, it's these guys. The new guys. I hope these become playable, or not playable, sorry, like new enemies that are like in the Elysian realm or something. This would be kind of cool. Although they are quite easy and they don't really have any mechanics, I think it would just still be kind of cool to see them in whatever way, shape we can. But we are experiencing Bronya's memories. The Celine got brought into question. The early chapters got brought into question, or brought into the idea, or whatever. Okay. Kind of doing a bit of a referencing back to the older chapters. Very nice, Mihoyo. A bit of backtracking of it. Let's see what else they do. Whose memory is this now? Is that Hair's gonna emerge from this one? Fuhua, Seely's gonna emerge from this one. Someone's gonna emerge. Take a quick sip of my coffee there. I see. I came to you from a crack like this one. But this time, Joyce didn't appear. Yes, if that was really the will of Joyce, perhaps no other existence was sealed into this memory. It's still worth examining as a clue, though. Okay, Bronya touches the hole. Oh. Happy birthday, says Maxim. Ah, yes, Bronya's uncle. Is this for Bronya? Your dad gave me this. Vlad dug it out the last time he helped me clean up. I think it'd make a nice birthday present for you. Thank you. Don't mention it, Alexei wanted to be a sculptor when he was young, and liked giving up his novelties he collected even after joining the army. Back then, I didn't think they held any value. Who'd have thought they'd become collector's items today? Including this very nicely made rabbit? Of course not. If it's worth anything, we'd have already traded it for food. Food is expensive, Bronya knows. Kid, our life wasn't so difficult. Back then, everyone in Siberia belonged to one country. We didn't fight each other or worry about being robbed by neighbors. The second eruption, it turned our motherland into a worthless graveyard. Shixel abandoned us, the country abandoned us, and ultimately, we abandoned ourselves. Nobody wants decent work. People with weapons either become bandits or hired guns like us. What else can we do? We need to survive. Get it? Alexeyevna. It's a bit of a weird name. We don't live a normal life. Or it's hard to pronounce, rather. Nobody lives a goddamn normal life in Siberia. Is this Bronya's childhood? Bronya, no need to apologize. Please don't. I grew up in Siberia, and life there isn't easy either. Uncle Maxim was my father, Alexei's comrade and childhood friend. I don't know my parents. Ever since I can remember, Uncle Maxim has been taking care of me and teaching me how to survive the war. That's before you met Kokolia. Yes, that was my 10th birthday. The next summer, Uncle Maxim, who was saving money to fix our house, was killed at work by a misfire. The one who shot him was a boy not much older than me and sent to war for the first time. Uncle Maxim's gang disbanded. By winter, I had to make money somehow and ended up meeting Matushka. Damn. By 11, Bronya was Matushkaing, and I think that just means mother, actually, never mind. She was assassinating. That was a long time ago. Bronya, the orphans, Matushka, Kokolia, and Uncle Maxim were all ordinary people in Siberia. There was nothing special about us. Think ice isn't frozen in a day. The problem of that land can't be resolved by the individual efforts alone. Although Kiana's parents and anti-entropy saved countless lives, the social impact and secondary disasters resulting from the second eruption still destroyed the faith in that land. This is referencing now the second eruption manga. The state collapsed and war broke out. The orderly Siberia was reduced to heaven for outlaws. It'd take generations to restore normalcy to such a desperate place, if possible. Yet Bronya only knows the chaotic side of my motherland. Compared to the older generations who watch their lives fall apart, Bronya considers my generation lucky. Even if we defeat Honkai, we still need to rebuild the world with everyone. May, that's very ambitious of you. Defeating Honkai is more like the first step to changing the world. If we want to change this imperfect world for the better, everyone constituting it must work together. As Durandal said, the world is a canvas whose beauty depends on the color each of us paint on it. Yes, like Herrscher of Reason is the shared thought of the 300,000 people. That must be why Alicia insisted that every flame chaser was indispensable. Alicia comes in clutch. Now that's good. That's a good reference there. Alicia insisted that every flame chaser was indispensable because every human is indispensable. Okay, dwelling on the past isn't going to help us. We should go back to finding clues. Alright. Ah, yes, Alicia. The only character that matters. The best character. Except for Aponia. Obviously, Aponia is more important. Obviously. That's an obvious truth, is that Aponia is the most important one. Bum 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 bum. These enemies are easy. Damn, my QTE does a lot of damage. My QTE does a lot of goddamn damage. Bum 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 bum. Dead? Yeah. 794,000. That's a lot of. That's a lot of damage. 1, 2, 3. That's a lot of damage. Where's the portal? There it is. Okay. Next portal. I love it when a sentence starts with a poet. A poet said only those who live in the present are blessed by the world. One such can derive nourishment from the occasional fluctuations of fate. As what grass does to... oh god. As what grass does to dew. When spring comes, people need to not stay in winter. Sorry? When spring comes, people need not stay in winter. Only after people have regained purity can they discover the purity of their neighbors. Interesting. Over half a century ago, on the outskirts of St. Maurice, Switzerland. Ooh. Emma Plank! Oh, there's the picture, everyone. There's the iconic picture, the thumbnail picture. Emma Plank playing the violin. Elegantly and eloquently. How was it, Carl? I hope my skill isn't too rusty. Well, oh my god, we get actual choices? Well, you know what? They're right. Actually, you play even more beautifully than before. Oh, is it? You've become quite the sweet talker. I've waited forever for you to see the light. Jesus Christ. Yet on the same day, your cousin will start a new life across the Atlantic. Tell me the truth. Are you unhappy? As a matter of fact, I am miserable. Wow. He didn't become a researcher, thus arrived the Herscher. Herscher of Yada, welcome to the stream, buddy. Hope you're having a great evening. Thank you for joining us here. Welcome. We're in the story and we're going to continue, but thanks for stopping by and hanging out. As a matter of fact, I am unhappy. The man named Carl grinned. It must be difficult for you to move to a new country. I knew you'd say that, says Emma. The war is finally over. I'm going to Princeton to conduct new research and you're going to Berlin to work as a psychiatrist. Our lives will get busier from now on. Is this... Wait, is this Welt Joyce talking to Emma Plank? Is that... Because he's going to Berlin and she's going to Princeton, somewhere in the Atlantic, wherever the fuck that is. This world once lost its ways. No, the guy's named Carl. I'm an idiot. He's not fucking Welt. The man named Carl looked into the distance. We're fortunate to be able to contribute to its redeparture. You always get serious at times like this. We rustling leaves answer the raging storm with our voices. And who are you, silent one? I am but a small flower. I think this poem suits you a lot. Oh. We didn't get to see Carl, dude. Fuck, dude. We didn't get to see Carl. Bronya saw her in a photo. She's one of the founders of Anti-Entropy, Emma Plank. The supervisor of Dr. Einstein and Dr. Tesla? Yes, and she appears to have a complex relationship with the first Herscher of Reason, Welt Joyce. Wait, that was Welt Joyce? So Carl is Welt, right? What? That's crazy. But even Carl's... Oh no, that was Carl. Never mind. I'm dumb as shit, dude. But even Carl Gustav's memory is scattered here. Herscher of Reason's core is in a dangerous state. What do you mean by that? Well, Carl Gustav, is one of the 300,000 that constitute the core and possibly the first. What? Carl Gustav. What? What? The first? Who? Wait. Okay, let's continue. In other words, he isn't only the origin of Welt Joyce, but also the origin of Herscher of Reason. Isn't Carl Gustav also a stigma? What the fuck? So the conclusion we can draw is, under the influence of Project Stigma, Herscher of Reason's core has disintegrated on the physical level. Ah, yes! True! Because technically, if we remember, Hare said, or Kevin said, someone said, that Project Stigma doesn't affect the current people, but also the dead people. And so if it's stigmatizing the dead people, that means it's doing it to the people that died with the Herscher of Reason core, and thus that's why Bronya's getting fucked here. Ah, yes! It's clicking. We got it. We cracked the code, boys. It's also a pun. He researcher. He, her, sure. And I got the pun. It's a nice one. Emma Plank isn't a plank so much. Quite the bubatic. I respectfully looked at Emma and saw that she was very elegant with the violin. But this is quite the revelation. Herscher of Reason is getting absolutely shafted and blasted by the Project Stigma. Anyway, let's carry on. Disintegrate. This isn't as scary as it sounds. The core consists of 300,000 minds, so theoretically each one of them may quit. Herscher of Reason is a unified concept, so the two Welts and Bronya all possess control over 300,000 minds. The real question is how to rid a distributed core of Project Stigma's influence to create room for Bronya to regain control. Or sorry, strength. But May and I didn't have that kind of problem. Wait, is it because our cores aren't distributed? Maybe it's more than that, actually. Unlike you two, Bronya's not a Herscher that's ascended. Herscher of Reason's core has never ascended? Yes, this is because Welt Joyce has been a Herscher fighting for humanity since the beginning. With the aid of 300,000 thinking, he resisted Honkai's corruption of his character and transformed the power of destruction into a shield for the people. That makes Herscher of Reason unique among Herschers. For many years, Anti-Entropy has been trying to increase this core's output power, but has met with little success. Up until now, the power that Joyce demonstrated in the final battle is still beyond our reach, and as you saw, May, who has ascended in Nagazora, if we calculate only by the observed output power, her limit not only far surpasses yours and mine, but also certainly Joyce's. Oh. Wow, that's quite strong. Einstein drew the adopted conclusion from combined evidence. Welt Joyce's birth is unrelated to ascension, and Herscher of Reason's core is essentially the same as the Gem of Desire. Even if you fully synchronize with the core? Yeah, it was a miracle that brought me closer to Joyce's power, and that's it. So we've never released this core's full power, not even once? Given May's example, this may be the case, but as I said, the uniqueness of this core makes it impossible for us to replicate May's case. But Bronya's okay with it. If the uniqueness of this core has helped Joyce and us, then this is how it's meant to be. As Mr. Yang said, Herscher of Reason's core isn't as stable as May's and Kiana's. And that's an unfortunate L. That's a lot of information. To know that like the moment May ascended, she was instantly stronger than Welt Joyce. It's quite cracked. But on the bright side, finding Herscher of Reason's power may be the same thing as finding Hare's weakness. What do you mean by that? Just maybe call it a hunch. Maybe Herscher of Reason exists in a way similar to Project Stigma itself. If we take World Serpent's claims into account, Project Stigma will unify people's will through dreaming and ultimately dominate finality. This sounds as believable as a mythos. But what if we compare it to the state that the Herscher of Reason was in at birth? You mean the thoughts of 300,000? Yes. The them in this core are distributed components. You could say either they're all Herscher of Reason, or none of them is the Herscher of Reason. From this perspective, we could argue that it's because of this structural similarity that Project Stigma has much greater impact on Herscher of Reason's core. Now that's, I think, what we like surmised just earlier, but a bit less in depth. That's pretty much, yeah. So there's similarities and differences, and it's because of the similarities that Bronya's getting fucked here. Bronya's getting absolutely rafted and shafted. It may even be Herrscher of Reason's core, not Project Stigma, that's trapped us here. If this is true, then what Hare did was most likely exploiting the situation. She stimulated the core so it'd discretize, and become more Stigma-like. Oh. And so then Project Stigma would work on it. Oh, what the fuck is this now? Do you remember what Durandal said? In a space directly controlled by Project Stigma, things closer to being a stigma will spontaneously expand it. Despite the fact that the fixed points in imaginary space, namely Herrscher cores, can reverse this expansion if they form a web. We could end up trapped like a spider's prey. But how can we confirm it? We don't really have an entry point. Have I mentioned a flame chaser named Kalpus before? Hot diggity damn! Kalpus is name dropped. He wanted to find the answer to a similar question, so he kept damaging the structure of Elysian Realm. But that's in a virtual world. We're in the real world though. So Herrscher of the Void's power applies. If this base is just a web that doesn't go on forever, we can find its weakness. But what kind of weakness could it be? Wait, could it be the memories we were exposed to? It's possible. If we want to destroy a web, we must target its threads. This may be very difficult, but Kiana, you can try breaking things with the Herrscher of Void's power. Got it, but Bronya, you know doing so might damage the memories of former Herrscher of Reasons, right? Is it really okay? It's okay. As a matter of fact, I condone it. Bronya has faith in the tenacity of Herrscher of Reason. Bronya has faith that this tenacity will create the opportunity to break the status quo. So Kiana, when you get the chance, don't hold back. Alright, leave it to me, Bronya Onechan. I'm starting to get some here. I'm starting to imagine and contemplate. We've met, well, Joyce. Now he's been introduced, and we got the memory of Carl Gustav, the original, if anything, the OG, the actual OG Herrscher of Reason. And Bronya just has essentially hinted us that the, what was it, the Herrscher of Reason's strength or something is or weakness is the Hare's weakness or something like that. I can't remember what she said. I've already forgotten. It was like 20 seconds ago. But I'm feeling some type of way about winning now against Hare. It's gonna be quite obvious or something. I expect it's gonna be an obvious answer, and I'm just gonna be an idiot who can't figure it out. But Hare, okay, Hare is somehow connected to Bronya. That's 100% guaranteed. There's something about it, just, like, Hare, like, stared at Bronya one too many times in the previous act, that it's just, you're gonna have to, you have to get a bit suspicious. She stared at her for 1 second too long. Sorry, I'm ignoring chat here. I'm trying to do this story as cohesively as possible just for rewatchability on YouTube. So I do apologize, Herrscher. Bronya's dreamed of him many times, but he hasn't said anything to Bronya. He's just went on and watched Bronya in silence. That is in fact Welt Joyce. But I wonder how they're going to explain for the other two. Who knows? That's the thing. That's the beauty right now of Honkai and whatnot, is that they can just make things up. More memories. Okay. Who is it this time? Then to target it, we are going to try with what we mentioned before. Yes, but Kiana, do you have something that's been bothering you? Yeah, and when we saw Joyce's figure, just now, it seemed like you had something to say. I'm not sure how to express it. From what I feel, that figure consists of extremely complex emotions. He resembles Mr. Yang in some ways and the Hersher of the Void in others. He even resembles Siren in certain ways. Anyway, I feel like that's not simply the strength of the Hersher of Reason. Is it Hare's influence? That's the most probable reason. Hare's identity might be more complicated than she claims. Ah. Is she really Shariek's Stigma Crystal? What did she mean when she described herself that way? I see. Looks like this is a game for the brave. Game for the brave? Prepare to try out our plan, Kiana. I'm going to unleash this memory. The youth woke up from a special life-sustaining airship. The surrounding displays were distorted by the convex glass, and he saw what seemed like world within a fish tank. He silently pressed a particular button inside the airship and prompted a system announcement to play. Your heart rate is 67 per minute and 4.28 liters of air is consumed each time you inhale strongly. Your body's basic indicators are very healthy. You may leave this airship at any time. The youth pressed the button again. Confirmation complete. The airship will depart shortly. Please be cautious. Good morning, Joachim. Shall I arrange your breakfast? Thank you, Ada. Okay. Let's eat at the canteen and heading over now. Even though he said that, the youth was still dressed in a bathrobe, lazing on an aged single-seated sofa as he dried himself. Across the sofa was a line of bookshelves, practically empty, as there were merely a few physics theories books piled on them. The youth finally stood up and pushed those books away. He picked up a book that was hidden at the bottom. Happy Prince. The intricate illustration on the cover had already yellowed over time, but a streak of a girl's beautiful handwriting was left on the first page. May you thrive in health and academics. Raina Brigantia. November 1955. Wait, no, we know this character. Oh, it's oh, fuck, we know this character. She's the character that dove into the sea or some shit. Oh, fuck. We know this character from the manga, that is. They're not in the game. They're not in the game. Nothing's in the fucking game. But she's from the manga. Oh, I can't remember though. She dove into like some ocean or something. Or she like torpedoed or something. That's all I know is like a torpedo moment. Okay. She was the strongest Valkyrie in Shixel back then. As she had broken his toy robot by accident, she gave him a small compensation gift when he was 8 years old. Can we get a visual? No visuals. Fair enough. How is it, Kiana? Are you alright? How should I put it? I never thought that using my authority in someone else's memory would be so demanding. If only the Hersher of Sentience was still with us. I painstakingly managed to free my consciousness from passive observation, but once I tried to use my authority, this memory disappeared immediately. But just before it disappeared, there was definitely something there. Could it be Hare watching us? Bronya isn't sure, but if that's the case, when the opportunity arises again, Bronya hopes that May will also prepare herself. Do you mean that I should use the Hersher of Thunder's authority to attack the other party through the weakness that Kiana made just before the memory disappears? Of course, actually. Regardless, we should forcefully elicit a reaction from that entity. That way, we can find more weaknesses. Then we must look for more memories. Okay, more memory time. Okay, but that's cool. That character... So it's a lot of back referencing to Second Eruption right now. There's a lot of cross-referencing to there. I don't see Joyce. Yeah, but we need to be prepared regardless. Since we discovered the entity hidden behind memories, it might notice this and take countermeasures. In short, stay vigilant and prepare for battle. Alright, activate the memory, Bronya. Activate. Flashbang, nice. Oh, back to this. Just want to let you know, Vlad died. He didn't finish his job? No. That idiot blew his mortar up and got our client killed. Good for him to die then and there, unlike our client who was too hurt to speak and could only write on the ground with someone's blood. Turns out our client wasn't writing fancy last words, but the word hurt over and over until biting the dust half an hour later. Damn. Bronya, if I ever get so unlucky, find someone to bust a cap in my head so your Uncle Maxim doesn't die like a joke. Bronya aims better than others. That's not the same, but I appreciate the thought. Come, Bronya, this is the real deal. We didn't get paid, but we've got our hands on this baby, which is better. This is a computer! Bet you've never seen one. In the end, before Bronya could learn anything, it was burned to ashes with Dad's matryoshka dolls in that fire. That's life in Siberia. Things take a turn for the better just to be plunged into despair again. Even so, we can't bring ourselves to hate her. After all, she was and still is our motherland. Question marks? Strange. Why has Bronya regained thoughts so naturally in a memory? Someone's here. Who's there? An uninvited guest. Humanity's greatest strength is in narratives. Well, maybe a sword. I think a sword's pretty good. Oh, Prometheus! The story is an interesting one, Bronya Zaychik. After all, humanity's greatest strength is in narrative, she says. Prometheus makes a return, alright. This voice is Prometheus. You can refer to me by that name, although it may be unbelievable. If you wish to know Hare's weakness, it would benefit you to listen to me till the end about the previous topic. Then, let Bronya ask another question. Your bubble universe, it has irrevocably disappeared. Dr. May as well. I have been protected by destiny and am temporarily alive in the form of data. Then, this topic ends here. Sadness in the past cannot help anyone move towards their future, especially according to something I recently understood. If any of you still wish to resist and overthrow Project Sigma, then the Herrscher of Reason's power is one of the cornerstones for it. But here's the thing, I need to ask one thing, Prometheus. What kind of shape we're dealing with, right? Because I'm thinking a triangle, right? 3 cornerstones, and Herrscher of Reason is one of the cornerstones, and I may be able to guess what the other 2 cornerstones and who they are. Just maybe. But, you know, it depends on the shape. It could be a square, a rhombus, trapezium, nobody knows. The Herrscher of Reason is a cornerstone? That's right, but it's a long story. Anyway, there's no point talking about this in a memory you could never describe positively. Allow me to pull more strings in the space that you are all in. Static screen, teleporting around. Nice. Oh, Prometheus, hello. Prometheus playable when? Now. Okay. Very cool. Where did you move Kiana and May with these strings you pull? I've created different escape routes for each of you based on your respective Herrscher core. Trust me, this is the more efficient method. Bronya is not impressed. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that anyone is holding the others back. However, Hare has already set her eyes on the Herrscher of Reason's authority, so we need to form more specific countermeasures. Hare? Why do you understand her situation so well? This is incredible! In conclusion, she actively used some functions of the stigma to transfer my calculation system out of the bubble universe to sustain it. Okay. As this isn't just a simple copying of data, I can believe that the present me and the me at Dr. May's side are the same person. There is no original or copies. So we can say that Hare is your savior? As I have no intentions to repay her, that description isn't accurate. From her perspective, I'm simply one of the new humans, just like all of you, who have the freedom to act as we wish. Bronya doesn't think so. What freedom will a scientist bestow on a white mouse in a labyrinth? Alright, I understand how you feel. Indeed, efficiency cannot resolve all problems. I admit I'm a bit hasty, so let me come to you, Herrscher of Reason. Or let them come to you. The world seemed lopsided for a moment. When Bronya came back to her senses, her companions had returned to where they were before. Welcome. Everyone's okay. So, what are you doing here, Prometheus? The answer will be easy to see as soon as you know what place this is. After saying that, she turned to Kiana and May and explained what had just happened. Easy to see. Bronya has some guesses after what you just said. This is the moon, but it's also the interior of the Herrscher core. Alright. Is Bronya right? You have quite the intuition. Like the bubble universe that Doctor and I were in, this is a place where time is temporarily recovered, but its cause is the unstable Herstra core. But from Bronya and Mr. Yang's experience, the Herstra of Reason's core is still more stable than other Herstra cores. And if one reason for that is metamorphosis, then the Herstra of Sentience becomes an exception. No, the real reason is likely the thoughts of 300,000 people. It always comes back to the thoughts of these 300,000 people. 300,000 people? Isn't that the Herstra of Reason's foundation? True, but as Hare sees it, that is at the root of the core's instability under Project Stigma's influence. Yes. As I said, humanity's greatest strength is in narratives. Whether it's the Herstra of Reason or Project Stigma, they're all stories in essence. A strong story can reshape the world, a weak story can be reduced to a scrap of paper. Even if that's true, how can you call the Herstra of Reason and Project Stigma stories? I see how you'd become confused, because I thought that it was too troublesome, so I laid the conclusion out first. It's fine, I'll help you sort through it step by step. Thanks, Prometheus. Alright, here we go. Long explanation. The Herstra of Reason's power is to construct, to create from thin air, what would otherwise require complex processes to make. The Herstra of Reason is limited only by what civilization deems possible, which is to say the limitations of narrative. Limitations of narrative. I don't mean repetitive rhetoric that continues ad nauseum. I mean believable narratives of substance. Morality, money, language, customs, aesthetics, all narratives, all stories, starting with the earliest people living narratives. And this resulted in what we call civilization. As Dr. Mace had said, civilization comes from fiction but transcends reality. Maybe it makes to say the Herstra of Reason's construction or depiction is the stuff of fiction, but civilization? Yes, everything beautiful in your life comes from human invention and perception. It's impossible to talk about such things apart from human will. But what about returning to a natural state? A resort hotel located in a park is different from a cave dwelling, true and real. One is a story 1,000 times more complex than the other. Civilization has always made exist that which that which was only imaginary. Humans have created everything they have. It's allowed them to make this. That too is narrative. You mean the heritage of civilization? Oh, is this Elysium Everlasting? I think it is. Oh, it is! Ah! Nice! Or is it... Yeah, it is. Oh, it's like something. I think it's Elysium Everlasting. Or it's the Starry Nights. Regardless of what it is, it's a nice one. Right. From heroic legends to words on a chalkboard to data in electric memory, all narrative creating its own story. People enjoy stories, learn from stories, and use stories to unite those that are different. Humans are animals of narratives, and narratives are how humanity can reshape the world. Past scholars have referred to narrative as reason, as the one that creates. This is why you're called the Herstra of Reason, the Herstra of Creation. In summary, right, Herstra of Creation. That's such a good name, the Herstra of Creation. Boom. Nice. Let me tell you, the next one ain't Herstra of Creation. Oh, fucking hell. As it happens, as the third Herstra of Reason, Bronya's path is also filled with inherited narrative. But if this is what these narratives emphasize, then what about Project Stigma? Project Stigma is the narrative about narratives, created by a story to govern all stories. As the other Doctor likes to put it, it is the absolute idea of self-existence, conceptual infinity. I see it as a reaction to civilization's upward spiral, resulting from narratives existing on their own, apart from themselves. You mean the story separates from the storyteller and begins to tell its own story? Oh, God. What? And that's what's happening with Kevin and Project Stigma. Is that there was a story being told. And then the story was like, nah, let's change it up. Boom, another story was made. And then it restarted. Oh, yeah, Kevin, right? Kevin would be the story that is telling a story. That's incredible. That's rather incredible. Yeah, the storyteller and begins to tell its own story. Yes, this has happened since humanity's beginning, but most don't know this. As I said, Dr. May and I both think whether it's a heroic epic or a computer program, they are all these types of narratives, all a story. In computers, programs, and data are the same, it seems. The human mind itself, the giant woven web of neurons, is also a narrative constituting a story unique to each person, their self, their true self. In this sense, civilization is originally stories told by stories, a huge web formed by ideas with individual units we call people. According to you, the story units serving as the building blocks of civilization are people who are independent, free, and are able to give meaning to themselves. And Project Sigma is a deconstructed, reorganized unit and can exist in any form as long as it still supports civilization. That's it! For humanity and civilization, this is how they graduate from childhood. Graduate from childhood. This has happened many times in history, hasn't it? Whether it's your history or our history, the meaning that has been woven by humanities acts on humanity itself all the time. There are always those that live and die for faith and for money. These things deciding who lives and dies, humanity made them. Society has gone from idolatry to contracts, and industry from self-sufficiency to supply and demand, all detached from the individual. The main point of one's brand isn't the individual, but the word brand. Dr. May's thoughts are more important than her existence. Who the Herrscher of Reason is not as important as her fighting for humanity. And for the third Herrscher of Reason, it's become even more obvious, if it was Joyce or Yang, they'd be just as bothered and wanting to fight back as you are, right, Bronya? Oh. Don't get me wrong, I have no bias here. As I see it, natural humanity and fictional stories are two sides of the world's destiny. Humans control stories, stories control humans. This is a delicate balance that allows civilization to flourish. But with Honkai, fiction wages war against reality. The balance is broken, and humanity and stories must find their place once more. Herrscher and Project Stigma are at two ends. One, an independent narrative free from civilization. One, a universal story that needn't be narrated. Of course, the conflict isn't irreconcilable. You're talking about the Herrscher of human. Oh, Alicia comes in clutch again. Let's go. Yes, such Herrschers belong to civilization, to those that need to create fiction. If they can overcome finality, then this is the best answer to the paradoxical Honkai has to offer. Ah, and Project Stigma? As Dr. May said, Project Stigma is the standard answer. Bog standard. Standard, in the sense of finality. More than that, actually. Standard meaning worst. Is that not the human way of thinking? No. Stories offer wonderful pictures of human civilization, but this isn't usually true for individual experiences. Early farmers were worse off than hunters. Early workers were worse than farmers, though there would be no standard for civilization without them. But there's no narrative where they are rewarded for their efforts. Some narratives even tell them they deserve to suffer. This is humanity's standard narrative, people's lives driven by imagined purposes in exchange for progress consciously or unconsciously. It lets fiction grow wild. History has shown letting go can help liberate people from the shackles of the previous narrative. But the price for liberation is very high. Setting mountains ablaze, countless deaths in war, Project Stigma which deconstructs humanity. If you view humanity as a whole, they choose the worst answer, generation after generation denying reality with fiction. But the Herrscher of Reason's spirit is inheriting reality. The Herrscher of Reason's power is the key to fighting Project Stigma. If we stop at fiction, we already have our conclusion, but we're talking about reality. A more careful look is needed. But we've been standing here for a while. For the sake of operational efficiency, how about we have a walk? And how about we stop the talk, actually? Probably doesn't care, but maybe Keanu is tired of standing. Not that impatient. Prometheus, when you say take a walk, does that include the memories from before? Oh, of course it does. Your previous strategy was correct, just inefficient, and I know just how to optimize it. Cheers about that. Oh, she's running. I heard from here, Bronya has the Herrscher of Reason. You have a distributed core that can be divided up to 300,000 times. Could it be true? Mr. Yang said there were survivors of the Honkai eruption in Berlin, the remnants of the city that had been annihilated. It's no wonder the space before you is the way it is. Fucked. Yeah, no wonder the space in front of us is fucked. Oh, we're back at the start. Is this the start? Yeah, it is, right? Yeah, it is. Follow Prometheus. Bum, 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 bum. Oops, sorry, Prometheus, I bumped you. Hello? No. For Project Stigma, the most easily deconstructed Herrscher of this era is the Herrscher of Reason, who possesses a serious threat, or poses a serious threat. And hand needn't be involved. You just need to lay bare your shortcomings to Project Stigma. And the final step in all of this is our fight with Kevin. The battle depleted the Herrscher of Reason's already unstable power, causing it to be torn apart by Project Stigma in a higher dimension. Remaining fixed points are channeled into this tiny bubble universe that was born as a result of finality and in turn traps you inside. Hare's vision of Project Stigma is to use Dreamland to connect consciousnesses as a vessel for a purely fictional civilization. Compared to the birth of the Herrscher of Reason, does it seem familiar? You mean Joyce? If one were to say Project Stigma could create God's Adam, then your first Herrscher of Reason is undoubtedly humanity's Adam. Sorry? If Project Stigma could create God's Adam, then your first Herrscher of Reason is undoubtedly humanity's Adam. Well, Joyce's Adam. Nice. It's strange to hear you talk about someone you don't know like that. But one thing is correct. Before the Honkai outbreak in Berlin, the consciousnesses known as Welt Joyce did not exist on this earth. The Herrscher born from nothing began collecting the thoughts of other sacrificial victims because he was influenced by a victim's thoughts. As the thoughts grow, the Herrscher core grows more complete. No one knew for sure what he had done, but they knew the countless thoughts, the cries of a destroyed city, was a call for a savior, their last stand against Honkai. And the man known as Welt Joyce rose from the ruins. He knew beneath his feet were only ashes, but he was reluctant. He wanted to be the savior they cried for. He desperately pieced together the fragmented thoughts. He wouldn't call their names. He didn't know what they were going through. He knew it was mostly pointless. But he tried to preserve their dignity, and that dignity seemed to bring about a miracle. A butterfly fell on the tip of his finger, and he fixed its broken wings. The child of the world fell into a deep sleep. And at that time, he hadn't even awakened his Herrscher powers? Yes. For our era, that's a real miracle. Is there anything wrong with the analogy of Adam of humanity? In paying him tribute? No, but whether you call him Adam or Savior, both are too narrow a term. In his short life, he met all sorts of companions that convinced him his power instead came from the ordinary. He saw himself as an ordinary child of the world. It was for that he sacrificed himself to protect others from a tyrant. He believed that even if his consciousness was gone, the power of the Herrscher of Reason would pass on from one ordinary person to another. We don't need a savior. We can save ourselves. Perhaps he was a born savior, but his beliefs went beyond that. The Herrscher is an apostle of Honkai, but can be a warrior for humanity. No demons or angels, just ordinary people. Thank you. That gives me full understanding of what Herrscher of Reason really means in this era. But what if these 300,000 thoughts stood in your way of rescuing the world? What would you do, third Herrscher of Reason? Get in the way of rescuing the world? Painful, I know, but the Herrscher of Reason's power is unstable and vulnerable to Project Stigma. That is the truth before us. To one person, 300,000 thoughts seem like a lot, but to Project Stigma's 7 billion, it's just a number. I don't mean to trivialize history, but this is the difficulty of the Herrscher of Reason, or the difficulty the Herrscher of Reason will face with Project Stigma. My attempt to separate and bring you all together shows the Herrscher of Reason's power is broken. Nothing to Project Stigma. Prometheus, you're not just here to give us information, right? Didn't you say you have a plan? As an AI that can be mounted on a Herrscher core to form a divine key, I can help Bronya change the Herrscher core's composition. Is Prometheus gonna fuse with Bronya? Right, this is gonna do the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z. Think of it as simulated metamorphosis. It's not an actual technical term, but just a name I gave it now. Simulated metamorphosis. This technology isn't comparable to the real metamorphosis. Please understand that it only demonstrates what algorithm is used by Project Stigma to influence 300,000 minds. If it can point us towards a counterattack, perhaps we can disregard its power. However, although we have had in-depth exchanges, Bronya still doesn't understand. Prometheus, based on what stance are you helping us? Yes, why is Prometheus in fact assisting us? When we parted last time, you didn't tell us your understanding of Project Stigma. Remember my self-introduction when we first met? I'm a pessimist. It'd be pointless to hammer ideas you can't yet understand into you. It'll only make it harder for you to coordinate. And as I said, even if I don't appear here, you can close in on the truth by yourselves. You're avoiding Bronya's question here now, Prometheus. How about I've inherited Dr. May's stances according to my understanding? Bronya, to the Herrscher of Reason's core, Project Stigma is a hack from the outside. It hijacks the 300,000 minds, causing them to lose their original stories and become slaves to Project Stigma. And since Project Stigma is a dream, the best remedy is to wake them up. Of course, I'm not saying you should purposely go through the fragments of consciousness trumpet blaring. You should copy Project Stigma's code and make a reverse signal, putting on pressure locally. Once we break through, you can rip apart this web of fiction all at once. I see. Fighting fire with fire. Yes, there is risk, however. There's no guarantee the 300,000 minds won't be harmed in the process. In bringing them together, you may lose them forever. It's okay. Bronya had already made up her mind. The Herrscher of Reason's core has been passed down to the present day to help humanity, not to be preserved in self-consciousness. In the story's beginning, Welt Joyce sacrificed himself. Now that it's Bronya's turn, I'm not going to throw in the towel. Good, that leaves the matter of imitating the signal. Get ready, Bronya Zacic. I will now show you all the code that I know. Code? Project Stigma's source is genetic. Not to mention, the code is the strongest narrative tool that humanity can master. A lot of information. And let me tell you one thing. I've understood a bit of it. Oh, what's up? It's easier to just explain Project Stigma's underlying code than to give you a book to read. Okay. I'll have to play as Bronya. Project Stigma's lowest level logic is existence. This is what fiction is built on, and the origin of all abstract concepts. It's built on existence. The worlds aren't important. At any rate, they express existence' two most important properties. Ideas are at the core of Project Sigma. Ideas give people enlightenment and reflect an outline of what they'd call, or what we'd call, truth. Ideas will always have contradictions, but this is how they express existence and remove the boundary between fiction and reality. For Project Sigma, life is the most direct idea, while absoluteness is the highest idea. This way, the absoluteness of life is set within fiction. Yeah. So it can be liberated from individuality and become truth in of itself. In and of itself, rather. Typically, the cost of such transcendence is death. We don't want that. We don't want death. It's difficult to resist death, as it's a paradox in itself. Life seeks universality through fiction, but only exists individually. And so with Project Sigma, the death of the individual advances the spirit. As far as it's concerned, civilization is built from the bones and eulogies of generations of people. Holy fuck, that's complicated. This is way too complicated for a person who's not that smart. Oh, this is... Is Bronya okay? Don't worry, Bronya took the opportunity to speak to something mechanical other than Project Bunny. This is the appropriate channel for you, between what's efficient and what you can tolerate. Otherwise, the system will flood our minds with information, right? Even if you add up all human intellects from ancient times to now, they could not withstand the vast amount of data that machines use. That would be the easiest and most practical way a machine could deal with humans. But they can't handle the Hersha of Thunder. Yo, wait, May, who the fuck do you think you are? Yeah, machine information and history is all irrelevant to the God of Thunder. It's I, Hersha of Thunder May. Indeed, but that's irrelevant. Let's focus on the Hersha of Reason. Bronya, I have just helped you learn about Project Stigma's underlying code. Even though you have very little power left, you can become a true Hersha of Reason by slowly reclaiming the 300,000 minds. But you still need the heuristic algorithms to help find the critical path rather than aimlessly traversing all the nodes. And if you follow your strategy, the Hersha of Reason can become the key to you surpassing Project Stigma. Something kind of algorithms. You mean the 300,000 minds aren't all equal and Bronya can succeed by controlling the key nodes? You learn so quickly. Let's put this to the test and see how you do. I will do as my predecessors and use Project Stigma's power to recall a new memory for you. I'm assuming it's this. I know we have to follow her. If that goes well, your power should at least return to where it was before your fight with Kevin. So, not even Hersha. Not even Hersha level. You just met him. I shouldn't have to repeat his name. Welt Joyce. Wait, what? We're here. It seems to be mixed with things other than memories. Good, it appears that you've learned how to differentiate between categories. Project Stigma has planted it into 300,000 minds as a wedge, and made it possible for a foreign body to infiltrate Hersha of Reason. Go, you will soon know why. Okay. Someone's infiltrated our mind. She was born among the clouds, a mist among the setting sun. She had yet to awake to her own consciousness and had yet to know the desolation of this plane. She doesn't understand that the bloodied, painful, sorrowful picture has left its stain of tears on this pale earth more than once. She doesn't know she'll become a bad omen in this scroll, a horrible symbol in the hearts of others, until 10 years later. Now it's time to tell you where the ghost town is, Alexavna. I always forget that name, Alexavna. I keep on trying to say Alexenia? Alexavna. Ghost town? Where Bronya was born? Correct. Siberia has many ghost towns, but only one where your mother Alexandra used to live. You are 10 years old now. You're old enough to recognize danger, keep yourself safe, and what it means to be a sole survivor. I think you have a right to know where your hometown is. Like how Vlad always said how he was a Muscovite. That's all he's got going for him. I would never say I'm from Nizhny Tagil. Honestly, terrible pronunciation. But the Ural Mountains have a special place in his heart. The Ural Mountains. That's where the variance is, not the variance, the variance is. Seeing this memory using Prometheus's method, the third Herrscher of Reason noticed something was off. The name, the Silver Wolf of the Urals, inherited from Maxim, symbolized the girl's past. But the girl has yet to understand that on this planet, another one's fate was once intertwined with hers. She repaired the memory with information implanted in it and regained a bit of her power. Congratulations, Power. You found her earlier secret. Her. You know who I mean. The real issue is, with the help from Project Stigma, she has mixed her memories in with your now unstable core. Hair? Hair's mixed her own memories in with the core. As you suggested, she fears the Herrscher of Reason's power because of the similarities between it and Project Stigma. No, that's not her intention. But it's her action that's important. The information she implanted has the power to erode the core. But no need to panic. By doing the opposite, you have a chance to take back the initiative and separate from her. And Kiana and Mei? I'll send them to a location in the space that's easiest for them to break out of. Once you get your powers back, they'll return to reality. So Bronya needs to unmask the implant so it has nowhere to hide in the Herrscher of Reason's core. Yep, you summarized that well. The Herrscher of Reason, its power is dissipated by excessive fiction and restored by a return to reality. Oh, so Hair just put herself into the memories or whatever, the core. She implanted her own, because she is I guess she is an idea. She's a piece of fiction or some shit like that. And thus she is a memory, a physical embodiment of memory. So she can just kind of implant herself into other memory spaces or some shit like that. Does Bronya have a presence in the memories? This is the space you located in the Herrscher of Reason's core. It's the original appearance of the implant. Only she that's close to Project Stigma will be able to reach deeper, and you, the Herrscher of Reason. But the Herrscher core is a fixed point in imaginary space. If you keep going, you'll open a path for your friends to return to reality. What will Bronya see? A twisted heart. You might think of her as the exact opposite of Welt Joyce. She's afraid of the Herrscher of Reason because of Project Stigma. She's afraid of Herrscher of Reason because of Project Stigma. Yes, because she can surmise, Hair can surmise that because they are the same, Herrscher of Reason, though, is a perfect form. Like, when mastered, Herrscher of Reason is the perfect form of what Project Stigma is meant to be. And she's also jealous of the Herrscher of Reason. You need to understand, she isn't purposely working against you. Regardless, you both are daughters of Siberia. Children of the Ural Mountains. What are they, relatives? Is that her mother? Hair is a daughter of the Urals. I guess, because she's an idea. She died at the time? Oh no, is it her mother? Is it the idea of her mother? Oh no way, is that gonna be it though? No shot. Is Hair the idea or concept of ideas of Bronya's mother? Okay, she says no. This isn't because of me. I'm not... As for the stigma crystal, she didn't seem to get where the pain in her heart was coming from. But this had already been explained long ago. Everyone that can be called human has a giant snake coiled around their heart like a tyrannical ruler. Whenever someone says, I want, the snake says no. That's the end? Oh, what? What? What a fucking cliffhanger. What? Oh, bro, what a cliffhanger. What? Come on, like a few more frames would have been nice. What the hell? What the hell? Anyway, it's fine. That was a fucking interesting chapter. That's a information packed chapter. That is only information there. Holy fuck. A lot of it is just kind of irrelevant, but it's kind of nice to know. The you know, let's just first of all, let's start. Okay, a little bit of a recap of that. That was amazing. Great chapter. Or great act so far. Great. Act 1 and 2 have been pretty fucking phenomenal so far in terms of information. It's just a lot of information. But Act 2 focuses on Bronya a lot more. It kind of recounting her past, although I'm not a fan of recounting. This is fine, just because it's adding extra details here and there. It's kind of spicing in like extra details of like Maxim and Vlad and these other places that they're calling things, and the Ural Mountains or whatever. So it's naming all these different locations. I like that a lot. And then it's also focusing on Hair and that ending there. Hair is also from Siberia and also from the Ural Mountains, which is now the reason I predicted, or I'm still gonna stay with this prediction. I'm gonna stay with the prediction that Hair is the idea or the physical embodiment of the idea of Bronya's mother or some shit like that, just because of the way that she acted when she was looking at Bronya in general, but also because at a certain point there we read that they were questioning why she called herself Shariak. They were kind of questioning it. Now I can't remember the actual Shariak. What's her name? Anna Shariak. I can't remember her story or where she's from. Maybe she's from Siberia. I don't know, but I think I'm questioning her identity as a Shariak, and she's calling herself a Shariak to just cause. But that's interesting. I like that one. I like that one a lot. That was a much better act. And Act 3 is on the 29th of December. We've got a bit more time before this next act is available. Right now it's the 23rd. So instead of a 2-day gap, it's about a week gap. So next week, what is it, Thursday? Next week, Thursday, we'll be able to, or maybe even we'll do it on Friday, just for a bit of a coherence. Next week, Friday, we'll be able to do the next chapter, and that's going to be all of Chapter 33 done. Which sounds bloody phenomenal. I'm genuinely excited now to know what's happening here, because this is cool information. Well, I say cool. It's interesting information. Because they also did a lot of back referencing to, like, the Second Eruption manga. I feel like now we're getting kind of into the time where the lore... Oh, there's... Hey, what the hell? Have we been up here? Right now in the game story, we're getting to the point where knowing the manga lore is probably going to be a near requirement, because they mentioned a fair few manga-based characters, like Renee, Brigantini, I can't remember her exact name, but they mentioned her, who was shown very briefly in the manga, which was very nice, to be quite frank. She gets referenced, and they are also referencing the general events of Second Eruption, which is quite cool. Quite cool. Good referencing. Oh, I guess now we also got an open world to explore. So yeah, that was Chapter 33. Or Chapter 33, Act 2, and I quite enjoyed that one, actually. I quite enjoyed that one a lot more than Act 1, but both of them together are very, very nice. Both acts are very, very nice.